Hello again and welcome back to another one, and today we have a couple of topics to cover as we recently got to hear from LL Cool J about his upcoming album and the collaborations on the album, and of course he briefly spoke about working with Eminem, who is featured on the album. Today we also have an update on some stories we covered recently, for instance Lil Yachty's belief that he could take on Joe Budden verse for verse on a song. And now that the full episode has released, boy, it is worse than we initially thought, and Yachty seems to be convinced that even on a bad day, he could take on Joe Budden right now. And Joe Budden also recently called out Big Sean for insinuating that he's an instigator. And today, we also have more that shows that the Eminem vs MGK went beyond the hip-hop genre, as an educational clip all the way from Asia hit the web a few hours ago, and we saw MGK catching some random strays out of the blue due to going up against Eminem in 2018. And today we have more on the aftermath of Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, as Drake's been getting clowned for officially releasing the songs he put out a few days ago. And we got academics doing some damage control to provide some context on what is going on between Drake and UMG, since the fans on Kendrick's side are using this to drag Drake. And today we'll be starting with the latest update on the heated chart battle between Kanye and Taylor Swift for #1 on Billboard. And according to the latest from Hits Daily Double, even though Kanye and Taylor Swift went band for band with the bundles, it wasn't enough. Check it out. Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign's Vultures 2 to debut at #2 on the Billboard 200 with 83,000 units first week. And boy, Taylor Swift certainly went off with her bundles, as she is set to move 141,000 units this week. And now some have concluded, I feel like his number will never be right again, regardless if he go back to his old sound. He's independent now, and I feel like they blackballed him. The typical excuse they always go for is that his music isn't as good anymore. But if Kanye is doing 83,000 on a surprise drop with a shaky release, one has to wonder about how rough things could get for rappers this decade, as the era of new superstar rappers could be over as we know it, if we are being honest. But what are your thoughts? And moving on, after Drake officially released the 3 songs included in the 100 Gigs release, hip-hop media exec who is at odds with Drake reacted with, "So Universal wants the boy to stop too?" Lucien put his foot down, and this went viral. Universal saw him leaking his own music and said, "Nah, we own that," laughing emoji. And since the 3 songs featured only Atlanta rappers, Young Thug, 21 Savage, and Latto, this went viral. Wait a minute. And for some context, this also went viral. Back to Atlanta he goes. And from Kendrick, you run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. You are not a colleague, you are a freaking colonizer. And upon seeing the roasting session that was on, we got academics doing some damage control to explain why Universal wasn't gonna allow that to slide. Check out some snippets from his live stream.
Drake's Finsta just posted that, he's been posting a bunch of unreleased, like seemingly free music. He dropped 100 gigs, but he's been posting a bunch of stuff. So he posted something to his Instagram, right? And it was supposedly like some unknown, unnamed song, but it's one of his songs. And essentially what happened is that Universal Music Group actually put a claim in to take down that song. Now Drake is putting it up, and it's kind of ironic because it's Drake's song, Drake's putting it up, and his own label is saying, take this down. And I mean, there's not much to really hypothesize about this, other than the fact that no matter if you're Drake in this industry, and actually, especially if you're Drake in this industry, if you just got $400 million from a Universal Music Group, especially if you're Drake in this industry and you've gotten a $400 million deal, they want to make sure no penny goes not accounted for. They want to make sure that nobody is playing your music for free. I've always said the protections of Drake's music is more stringent than I've ever seen with any other artist of current day. Why? Because Drake's music streams the most. So that's money. So again, here's the thing. They're basically telling Drake, no nigga, we know that you just went through a battle and you're trying to do this little PR thing, or you're trying to be cool and edgy and drop some of your music for free, but this ain't how it go, buddy. You're gonna have to send us your music. The music has to be policed by us, right? We have you in contract. It's our shit.
And moving on, we got to witness some of the most out-of-place MGK roast yet. When a business lesson included a plot twist, it goes, not MGK still catching strays, loudly crying and skull emojis.
Where would your cafe be more successful? Right next to this Starbucks or in a place with no competition? I'm sure you chose option 2, but you're wrong. If you started your cafe right next to this Starbucks, you would actually make more sales than even Starbucks was making. And even the sales of Starbucks will eventually shoot up. So if Starbucks was doing 100 sales an hour in a separate corner, you would do the same in your separate corner. But if you open a shop right next to Starbucks, both you and Starbucks will do almost 200 sales each. To a passerby, the question they will ask themselves changes from do I want a coffee to which coffee do I want? And this gets both the brands more conversions. Apart from the psychological effect, hitching your wagon to an already successful brand elevates your brand instantly, and this plays out everywhere, like a lesser rapper dissing a more popular one.
Come on, man.
More about this phenomenon in the caption below.
The other day, it was name 3 Mariah Carey songs since 2009 that dropped a body on TikTok. And now this.
Come on, man.
And moving on, before we get to Joe Budden blasting Big Sean for calling his name as an instigator to create beef between him and Kendrick Lamar, the full episode of Yachty and Joe Budden is out now, and we got to find out more on Yachty's belief that he could take Joe Budden on a song. And as you'd see, he believes he could take Joe Budden even when he's deprived of sleep. Check out a snippet from a Safe Place podcast.
You think you still got it?
Always have. It's like riding a bike.
No.
Do you think you're better than him?
Do you think right now, if me and you went in and Joe,
Be
you
honest.
could pen a better verse than me?
Be honest, right now.
Well, who's picking the beat?
Obviously not you. I'm going to dust off one of my
If
Alchemist
I
beats.
could get to Alchemist, I'm not even dignifying this.
I think we should do it.
I'm not even
I would,
dignifying.
I would
I'm
love for us to book a
and
session,
we
me and
bet,
you go in
and-
there and
we go
rap.
from
See
there.
it now, now the baton's getting rough.
I'm serious. I think we should do it.
I would do it for fun because I'm retired. If I were not retired, just the thought of this would be an insult to me.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
When's the last time that you've tried to go make a song?
2016.
2016?
You haven't made a song since 2016? I am exhausted right now.
You gotta sleep, man. See, if that Alchemist beat was up and you was no sleep,
No, I would still kill you.
oh
I'm
my
not gonna lie,
God.
that's
A
how peak-
morning session?
telling
With, I'm walking in with coffee?
A morning, you recording in the
I'm walking
morning?
in with coffee?
And speaking on this, some have concluded this is why Drake lost to Kendrick. Drake's ghostwriters think they can out-rap Joe Budden, loudly crying emoji. And since Big Sean told Charlamagne that Joe Budden was trying to instigate beef between him and Kendrick when nothing was there, Joe Budden put Big Sean on blast on his podcast. Check out a snippet.
I'm getting sick of rappers.
Niggas gotta stop blaming everybody for their real shit. Like, you.
I'm getting sick of rappers blaming me
Yeah, that's
for just saying what we looking at or what we are hearing.
Calling what the fuck is going on.
Sometimes you be off, but you was on.
When was I ever off? About like rap beef type stuff.
And before we continue, Joe Budden claiming he's never wrong is hilarious when he literally thought J. Cole will be the one to handle Kendrick, when he even told Drake to sit it out.
I did say a few pods ago that for me, Cole is at the top of that food chain now.
You did?
I'm looking for Kendrick to try to change that. This ain't for him. This ain't for him. When niggas get to rappity rapping, he don't.
Not
need to
saying
join
he
this.
can't do it.
I didn't say that.
To be
either.
clear,
I would never say that. I've
I
been
don't think
consistent
he-
in my takes. He ain't done it in a while for me.
He don't need to no more.
Well, then shut the fuck up. Go get ready for Khaled album.
And we all know how that turned out. Drake was the one to put up a fight, and Cole folded. But hey, back on topic, Joe Budden continued.
But sometimes people are off. But you were accurate.
Anybody I ever said was beefing, started beefing at some point.
Yeah, nigga can't start talking about us that'll make us not like each other just because you started talking about it.
I mean, he goes right on to say then a verse leaked and yada, yada,
the
yada. Like,
element.
why is my name even in this mix for just noticing, hey, there's lyrics that seem like they're about each other from both of y'all, and y'all telling me, well, one of y'all telling me y'all cool. How do I clear my name from this?
Stop being messy.
Don't point it out. That's what they want. They want you to not point it out.
That's your job.
I don't
If
point
you
it
don't
out,
point it
then
out.
I'm not one of the best
No,
artists in the world.
Yeah,
I agree
exactly.
you should. You asked how do you clear your name out of that. To them, it's don't point it out.
And boy, they didn't just stop there. They put Big Sean on blast for sharing details about his text messages with Kendrick Lamar.
He went on to tell Charlamagne of a text exchange between him and Kendrick, showed him the text, and then was like, yeah, he apologized to me. If I send you something privately, that's a conversation between me and you. It's not for you to start running out, showing folk, talking about folk. If I wanted to make it public, I would have said something publicly to you.
However, some users have fired back at them with, "Ice is so full of crap, man. Where was this energy when Joe was sharing his DMs with Drake on the pod?" And moving on, we got to hear from LL Cool J a few hours ago during an interview with Entertainment Tonight, where he spoke about the features on the album and what it was like working with rappers like Eminem. Check out some snippets.
Give us some of the names of the folks that you've collaborated with.
It's everyone from Nas to Eminem to Busta Rhymes to Fat Joe and Rick Ross to you got Snoop on there. And then you have some new artists as well, like Mad Squabbles, Don Pablito, Jay Sand. These are new artists that'll be introduced to the world. They're unknown, but they did an amazing job. And then, of course, you have Q-Tip as that through line, helping me create all the music. Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest, so it feels
that was
right.
genius having Q-Tip produce this.
Thank you.
Now, who is also featured on this album, he said seeing you perform really inspired him and made him want to rap.
LL was actually, like, hearing him rap actually made me want to rap. Really? Yeah, man, that was what did it for me. And then I think when the Beastie Boys came out, then I kind of felt like, oh, it was possible.
So how much have you appreciated his friendship?
He's a great friend. Emma's a great friend. We worked together in the studio on this song, Murdergram and Murdergram Do. He's amazing. I love him as an artist. I had a lot of fun working with all the artists, Snoop in the studio, Em in the studio. You know, it just was just good energy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm having fun too. I ain't taking it that serious. I'm just having a ball with it.
You can hear it.
And of course, some have brought up their concerns. I'm curious, is that leak from earlier the same song, or are these newly recorded? Now, LL Cool J implied in a previous interview that the leak was unfinished. However, some believe song is the exact same length on Spotify as the leaked version, so I doubt there's been much change. But that will be all for today, and I'll be looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.